want no cowards in our camp, while the let their colors fly.
I.S.U.P.K. 53rd Annual Lord Passover.
53rd Annual Lord's Passover is going to be held down here in Florida.
It's going down.
You're here tonight to get a chance to be righteous enough to be worthy of God coming to save you.
That's right.
It's going down. The Lord's 53rd Annual Passover.
When we say we no cowards, we stop that business. We no cowards up in here.
Book your hotels now at the Holiday Inn Express and Suites, the IHG Hotel, 301 Tucker Lane, Cocoa Beach, Florida, 32926.
Comes with all your dishes, pots, and sports knives.
I kind of like this. This is like an apartment room and a hotel room. You know what I mean? Yeah. This here right here is about to be holy ground. It's going to be holy ground. All our beautiful, wonderful brothers and sisters from all over the world. You understand? We can boast that now. Brothers and sisters coming not only from every state, but from all over the world. I heard the numbers this year is ridiculous. We had to buy out the whole hotel.
Friday, April 15th at the Space Coast Convention Center.
My camp undefeated. You cannot debate. You just want the clout. We just want the grades. I'm just trying to get it.
This is going to be glorious.
We don't give a fuck. You can see it in our faces. Got it out the mud. Straight up out the base.
Shalom, Israel. It's that time again. The week of Passover is packed with exciting events, hosted by the I.S.U.P.K. and Commanding General Yahanna. On Tuesday, a deep-sea fishing trip with the generals. Arrival and boarding time at 7:30 a.m. The boat leaves at 8 a.m. sharp. Then on Wednesday, April 13th, join us for the annual lamb slaughter from 12 p.m. to 3 p.m., making sure the children of Israel have fresh lamb for the Passover. Then, after that, the I.S.U.P.K. is having a fish fry from 4 p.m. until, which would lead to the scripture breakdown class with General Yahanna. Then, on Thursday morning, Hebrew Academy participants will see if they have what it takes to endure the Hebrew Academy trials. Commanding General Yahanna has something special lined up for the children with a children's party from 10:30 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. Come join Commanding General Yahanna on Cocoa Beach as we renew our oath unto the Lord.
Because he's supposed to understand the power of the Most High that would destroy him and will destroy him. Real soon. Read. That assuredly, knowing unto what oaths they had given credence, they might afterward be of good cheer. You hear that? They was of good cheer, gave an oath with the Lord as one, and became of good cheer while tens of thousands of Egyptians died. I know y'all don't like to talk about this, but you better put this war spirit back in you, Israel. You better get that spirit back in you, man. You better get that spirit of warfare back in you, because the Lord will put blood on the streets of America and around this world, brother.
Followed by a hotel ballroom, all black and Hebrew Academy dinner from 9 p.m. to 1 a.m. And then on Friday, April 15th at 5 p.m., join us for the Lord's annual Passover as commanded in the scriptures at 5 p.m. sharp. On Saturday, April 16th, the Feast of Unleavened Bread That's right, we're going to keep the Feast of Unleavened Bread from 7 p.m. to 10 p.m. Commanding General Yahanna has it all lined up for you, Israel. Come keep the Lord's Passover. Shalom.
Take a second, we reflecting with the life, but this the life, I fucking love it. Wouldn't trade it to be white, now that's alright. I got to write it first, the devil's redefining worth.
Someday you'll pay the price.
No, I don't break a fold, I need and bake the dough, then recreate the flow. They think they making dough, what they forsake is so essential. Over lentils, get your issue, guess who's on this instrumental with you? Gives a damn if we was family, view one red and call it spam. I'm not a fan of Antichrist, they slayed the man, I swayed the Tim. Like here I am, the son of Sam is taking shots at David Berkowitz. Pussy.
Someday you'll pay the price.
A different discipline existed than this New York state of mind. Say since now, no, not the actor, but the year he's effort. Not one thing in mind to grind until this gavel turns his words to mirth from Babel.
Live, sir.
All right, no, so stop it up. All right, Yabashin Shabakathum, Yahal Shamatan, but Shamyan Shai, Salaki on the delay. All right, tonight we're definitely gonna go more into as we said, Ukraine and Ukraine and Russia, the history of it. What's up, Ab? Please.
For the class.
Say again?
Yeah.
Yeah. You're good with that. You'll be with me, huh? All right, so what we have? Any questions?
It's like, sir, he's live now, sir.
Say again?
He's live now.
All right, two water.
It's like, you want this camera for this one back?
I don't know what it looked like right now. How would it look? I would look on your I could check it. It's kind of far. I want that shit set up how you have it set up on Tuesdays. I think that's the best look, to be honest with you. Boy, all over the place right now.
So I do have a question.
No sweat. I think Pagaiba wanted something before you, right? Pagaiba?
Yeah, concert.
Yeah, go ahead.
If I may.
Yeah.
I forgot the spirit that was.
Is that lens clean? You wipe the lens before you put it up?
Concert.
All right, no sweat. Go ahead, Pagaiba.
Yeah, concert. I don't know. I forgot what spirit was put on the man that told the man of God to come into the house and break bread. That the man that he didn't follow the orders, and then he ended up getting ripped up by the lion. I forgot what spirit was on the man that told him to come into my house and break bread with me.
Say that again. You forgot what spirit that told him what?
What the spirit was? Who the spirit is? Either the Most High or Satan. Mm-hmm. Which spirit was inside of the man that told the man of the Lord, "Come to my house and break bread with me"?
You have the scripture for that?
It's 1 Kings 13.
Please, let me hear them.
13 verse.
Hey, do me a favor, right? Somebody just check that. Those of you who watching it tonight, Commander Yahanna doing an exclusive with Sarnetta. You can check it out. It's on Black Watch News on YouTube. Black Watch News on YouTube. You can go across and check it out. You can always check this class out later. But somebody just check that Black Watch News and see if the audio is coming through. Does it sound echoey or effed up? No, it's too wild. No sound, guys. All right. So
verse. Yeah, I'm at verse 21.
All right, tell me where we at, Salakia, and rephrase the question, Salakia, brother. I was a little bit distracted with that just now. All right, y'all, just bear with me for tonight.
Okay, I forgot. You explained this before. I just forgot the spirit that was on the man that told the man of the Lord to come to my house and break bread with me.
You said it's 1 Kings?
Yeah.
Let me hear it, all
right? 1 Kings chapter 13, and I'll start at verse 18. He said unto him, I am a prophet also as thou art. And an angel spake unto me by the word of the Lord, saying, Bring him back with thee into thine house, that he may eat bread and drink water. But he lied unto him. Verse 19.
Is it 1 Kings 1?
1 Kings chapter 13. And let's start at verse 18.
Okay. 1 Kings 9. Say it again.
Chapter 13. I started at verse 18.
18. Solid. Let's go. Let's go. To water.
Verse 19. So he went back with him and did eat bread in his house and drank water. Verse 20. And it came to pass, as they sat at the table, that the word of the Lord came unto the prophet that brought him back. That answers my question, sir.
Give me one more. Salaki. I apologize. I apologize. Salaki. Y'all go get more men, man. Salaki. Okay. All right. I think I'm with you. No. I'm here. All right. Okay. 1 Kings 13:18, right? All right, let's go.
1 Kings chapter 13, verse 18.
Mm-hmm.
He said unto him, I am a prophet also as thou art. And an angel spake unto me by the word of the Lord, saying, Bring him back with thee into thine house, that he may eat bread and drink water.
Mm-hmm.
But he lied unto him. Verse 19. So he went back with him and did eat bread in his house and drank water. Verse 20. And it came to pass, as they sat at the table, that the word of the Lord came unto the prophet that brought him back. Verse 21. And he cried unto the man of God that came from Judah, saying, Thus saith the Lord, for as much as thou hast disobeyed the mouth of the Lord, and hast not kept the commandment which the Lord thy God commanded thee. Verse 22. But camest back and has eaten bread and drunk water in the place of the which the Lord did say to thee, eat no bread and drink no water. Thy carcass shall not come unto any sepulchre of thy fathers. Verse 23.
Okay, I might need some help with this one. Okay, and what was your question on it?
The man that told the man of God.
So one was an angel and one was a prophet, right? If that's what I'm getting from it here.
If I could, so in this passage, the prophet was told to go to this city and prophesy against the people of the city,
but not to eat. Right, I get that part.
Stay and leave. And then as he was leaving, another man came to him and said, "I'm a prophet also. You can come back."
But he lied. Okay, I believe that was an angel, right?
Lie, sir. That wasn't an angel. That was a man.
Okay, read 18 again.
Verse 18. And he said unto him, I am a prophet also as thou art. And an angel spake unto me by the word of the Lord, saying, bring him back with thee into thine house, that he may eat bread and drink water. But he lied unto him.
Okay, I think I understand what's going on. Okay, let me ask you, General, this one, right? Because this was definitely this brother's test, right? This was his test, but of course, because the second man said, an angel told me to tell you, do this. He followed through with it, and you asking, like, was he right or wrong for it?
Sir.
Go ahead.
I was asking what spirit was on that man that lied to the man of God.
A lying spirit. That's in the Bible. It's a lying spirit. But now this part here, I'm definitely need to. It's not in my memory of it. I'm gonna need to read back and ahead of it to see exactly how. Okay, it seemed like the Lord was angry with him for doing this. Hold on. Wait, 21. Read 21.
Verse 21. And he cried unto the man of God that came from Judah, saying, thus saith the Lord, for as much as thou hast disobeyed the mouth of the Lord, and hast not kept the commandment which the Lord thy God commanded thee, verse 22, but camest back and hast eaten bread and drunk water in the place of the which the Lord did say to thee, eat no bread and drink no water. Thy carcass shall not come into the sepulchre of thy fathers.
Yeah. Right. He was definitely supposed to obey the first part. That second part there, might find out from the general exactly. Was this a test? There's some reason I'm thinking it's an angel that did it, because that was very specific. You understand? Like, imagine I tell you, go to Nevada and find the second 7-Eleven there and only buy it there. And then somebody comes to you and said, I could take you to the third one. That's not coincidental that they say the third one and not another store, but a third 7-Eleven in Nevada. You get the point? So that's why I'm not sure if this is an angel coming to him for a test. All right, I could find on that tomorrow. I hope tomorrow. I'm sure the general teaching tomorrow, whoever might be teaching, right? I'm finding from the general exactly this part here. It's not in my memory. I'm going to read up some more. But, what you should take away from this is follow your goddamn orders. And that's that. You get the point? Follow your orders, and that's that. All right. Make me want to read on with this here, too. Anything else from anybody?
I can't remember, but you had another question you had before that. And I'm asking because I wanted to know.
So if he remembers it, you remember it now? No, so if you remember it, just say it, all right? All right, why, do you have something? Let's go.
I heard man Junior Yahanna say something more about it briefly, but if I get a small breakdown on where does Saudi Arabia play in to what's happening right now.
Okay, I'm gonna go into that too with Ezekiel. All right, Ezekiel the 30th briefly. Do you remember exactly what he said? I don't want to misquote him. You know what I mean?
I don't.
No sweat. Go ahead.
There's some questions online.
No sweat. Go ahead.
Selection, if I may. I'm just going to give a quick breakdown. Precepts. I lost my precepts for Dan being absorbed into Manasseh. I know that's what happened to him, but if I could, just precepts on that Bob for sure.
What we want? Something leap from Bashan. Leopard leap from Bashan. Somebody leaping from Bashan. I believe that's what you want.
Deuteronomy 33 and 22. Deuteronomy chapter 33, verse 22. And of Dan, he said, Dan is a lion's whelp. He shall leap from Bashan.
Trying to get some more. Leap from Bashan. Hold on. I hold that. Hold Dan leaping from Bashan. I think somebody look up Bashan as well. I think Bashan is in Manasseh's land. Look up Bashan. What's it? Where we at? Deuteronomy 33 and 22. All right. So just give me Genesis 49 and wherever Dan is. 12 or 13, somewhere around there.
Genesis chapter 49, verse 16. Dan shall judge his people as one of the tribes of Israel.
Right. Dan shall judge his people as one of the tribes of Israel. That's the key for the future prophecy of Dan. He will judge his people as one of the tribes. It's saying it like that because he already is one of the tribes. It's like me saying, you will rule this place as the president. You're not the president, but when it's time for you to rule, you'll be as him. Dan will judge Israel as one of the tribes. He'll be in the tribes, all right? Go ahead.
Verse 17, Dan shall be a serpent by the way, an adder in the path.
Right? Dan will be a serpent by the way, an adder in the path. By the way, meaning around in the vicinity, you're not going to see him. Just like a serpent, right? By the way, an adder in the path, an adder is a snake. Go ahead.
Is this the scripture where the Christians say that the Antichrist will come out of the tribe of Dan?
I've never heard that before.
A lot of Christians teach that the Antichrist is going to come out of the tribe of Dan. So
I've never heard that. Salakia. I've never ever heard that shit before, ever. Like TD Jakes teaches that?
It's like mainly like Jehovah's Witness, Seventh-day Adventists, them weirdos.
Okay. I've never heard that. Salakia. Salakia. Damn. That's a wild one right there. Yeah, I've never heard that. Salakia. I can't comment on that shit, but I know it wrong. All right. Either by the way, right? In the path, not in the path where you'll see him, but he's there. You just can't see him. Go ahead.
That biteth the horse heels, so that his rider shall fall backward.
Right, that biteth the horse heels, so that the rider falls backwards, meaning the horse is moving along the path. There's a snake there. The horse doesn't see the snake until late. The rider falls backwards. Why?
Because the horse is in pain. They stand up on their hind legs.
The snake startles the horse. He raises up and throws the rider off. That's how Dan would be. Dan would be there, but he ain't there. You ain't seeing him. You don't know why the horse is doing this thing, but it's because of him. You get the point? Any more? That's it. Let's flick that light behind you, Pagai boy. Not that one. That's at the side of you. That one is behind you. Right? Hit the one behind you. No. You got it. You got it. You got it out. You got it out. All right. Salakia. So that's for Dan, right? Now give me Deuteronomy 33 again.
Deuteronomy chapter 33, verse 22. And of Dan, he said, Dan is a lion's whelp. He shall leap from Bashan.
Dan, he'll be a lion's whelp. What is a lion's whelp?
A young lion.
A young lion, right? A young lion full of energy, full of youth, full of zeal, and he will leap from Bashan, right? So that's your key right there. Where is Bashan?
Bashan, from Wikipedia, is the ancient biblical name used for the northernmost region of the Transjordan during the Iron Age. It is situated in modern-day Syria. Its western part, nowadays known as the Golan Heights, was captured by Israel during the 1967 Six-Day War and annexed in 1981.
Okay, that's okay. That's not what I would want. The reference for the location, I think, is accurate. It's a territory in the Jordan area. Yes, sir.
Along with the half of Gilead, it was given to the half tribe of Manasseh.
Right. Bashan was territory of Bashan was given to Manasseh. All right. Where you getting that from? The Hebrew?
It's right here in I just pulled it up, but it gives a reference to Joshua 13 and 29, sir.
Okay, let me hear that part.
Joshua chapter 13, verse 29. And Moses gave inheritance unto the half tribe of Manasseh. And this was the possession of the half tribe of the children of Manasseh by their families.
Right, that's a good one. Wait, you say that one is?
Joshua 13 and 29. Sir.
Joshua 13, 29. So put that with your Deuteronomy 33. All right.
Also some more, sir.
All right. Anybody had the big Bible dictionary?
No, sir.
Ain't no sweat. All right, go ahead.
Verse 30. And their coast was from Manahaim, all Bashan, all the kingdom of Og, king of Bashan, and all the towns of Jair, which are in Bashan, 80 cities.
Now that part is kind of irrelevant. The part you want is Manasseh's land. Right. Say where it is again.
Joshua 13 and 29, sir.
Joshua 13 and 29. And the other one is Deuteronomy 33 and 22. Deuteronomy 33, 22. All right. So that's what you want. You could also look up Bashan in the Hebrew. It tells you the same thing as part is around that upper region of Jordan, the Jordan River or the Jordan territory. And it was given to Manasseh. Right. Dan will be a lion's whelp that would leap from Bashan, meaning he'll be coming out of Manasseh. Right. Don't think of it like how the Christians do, which is literal. The Christians would say, what's a literal example they have? The mark in your forehead. And they think it's a literal mark.
Right.
Not knowing that's how Israel talks. How we talk is, if somebody say, what's a good one? Sports, right? Okay. Basketball, football, whatever. You get assigned a player to what? To guard. Do you all say guard? You ever heard the phrase mark that man in sports? You check him? Yeah. Okay, maybe it's just terminology. For sure, in the islands, you say you're a man marker. Or that's your man. You have to mark him. You have different types of defense in sports. You have zone defense, and you have man-to-man. Right. But the man-to-man is the old way of saying it. I would say old. You say you marking him. You, even when they show you it on the board, the X is you and the O is him, or vice versa. Right. And you mark him. I want you here. You mark in this space. It's just how we talk. But, literal people would think it's literally a mark. Like you had to go and write something on this fool. It's not that. Right. Similar to here. When you say Dan will leap from Bashan, it's not saying that right now in the middle of Syria somewhere is the tribe of Bashan, which is how Jewish people think, the Christians think, fake Israelites think. But this is saying from Manasseh. It's like me saying Christ would come out as, the middle of Martin Luther King Boulevard. What am I saying?
Christ is coming out of niggas.
Out of the ghetto. Right, you get the point? He's coming from the ghetto. Right. Now, a white man will go and mark the middle of the exact middle of Martin Luther King Boulevard and say Christ come in here, wait here, and start a whole religion. You get the point? It's just how we talk. So when he say a lion, he's gonna be like a young lion that leaping from Manasseh. Dan is in the tribe of Manasseh. You understand? He's under the umbrella of Manasseh. What happened? What's a good explanation for it? Is that your tribe comes from sons, and Dan would have started having less and less sons. Okay, you would have a family, a man and a woman with children. Then you would have, they would make children. Eventually, his family would grow so big you could consider it a tribe. Right? A tribe then grows so big you consider it a nation. Dan got so small he could not be considered a tribe anymore. But he is in Manasseh. Manasseh pulled him in under his umbrella. It's like that. You get the point? He was absorbed into Manasseh. He started having less daughters than sons. And now he can't be a tribe no more because who's the tribe? 10 of y'all? No, you just come up under here. Come up under here. That's just the normal way to do things. Like, you have brothers and sisters. The oldest one, the young ones had to go with him. You get the point? They ain't big enough to be on their own. Just think like that. That's a good explanation if you had explained it to somebody of what happened. But Dan is part of Manasseh today. All right? He's not disappeared. He ain't erased. He's just not big enough to be a tribe himself. And that's just that. It's not a punishment. It's not anything like that. This is how the Lord just wanted it. You get it? I think that's it. I'm trying to remember if there's any more for that. I think that's basically it. All right. All right. Let me get a little bit of this Ukraine shit, all right, before I get to the questions. Just a little bit. It's a few corrections from last week when I was giving you all Vlad, which was one of Salak. I had to write this shit down. I ain't write notes in about 10 years. Okay, Vlad was one of Sviatoslav's sons. All right, Sviatoslav. Let's back it up. Anybody remember anything from the breakdown last week? The history of Russia. Let me hear.
Okay, so I remember that Svogel's, I can't remember the name of it.
Yeah.
It's like Volgograd or Svogel's War or something like that is where the Scandinavian or what you call the Viking people came from, and how they after the time passed, after the succession, basically they had to war with after the Great Schism, they had to go to war with Asians. I remember it.
I got it. I think the names was tripping up. Come on.
All I remember is like King Oleg.
Mm-hmm.
Oleg. He was the first one to start conquering. He went a little bit east of the Viking territory, and then I think it was his next son down that the father of Vlad that conquered a little further down, and he was the one that created the Kavian Roost. They called it the Kavian Roost, and from there, his sons started warring over it.
That's pretty much it. Like, okay, from around 800, you had the Peshmergas or something like that they were called. Those were Vikings, right? Also, Viking mean pirate, sea pirate. It has nothing to do with 6 kings or nothing like that. That's just bullshit that people see on the internet. Come on.
So I got from the notes last week. Vlad the Impaler.
Okay, that's not Vlad the Impaler. That's the correction. Vlad the Impaler came around the 14th or the 15th century. I think Vlad is from one of their lines, but he was around the time with the Ottoman Empire, which also was warring with that whole Russian estate later on. But this is another Vlad. Certain names you'll see repeating. Like there's 2 Olegs in this damn lineage, which is that's what I found. I couldn't figure out where the hell the next Oleg came from. But there's 2 Olegs in this lineage. That Vlad his name is just Vladimir. The other one, Vlad the Impaler or Vladimir, he came later on, like 400 and 500 years later. All right. So you have the Vikings coming east and south to do more trade. eventually took over Kiev or whichever is the regions, right? They had a few regions they took over first. One was in the north, Smolensk. The other one was Novgorod. Novgorod is very important to remember. All right. From there, they had his name was Rurik. Rurik was the one who founded that shit. Then he went down and took Kiev, right? He took Kiev and made them 3 areas, like a tri-state area called the Kievan Rus, which is what you were saying, right? Rurik died and had a son called Oleg, right? No, Salakia. He passed the throne to Oleg. Oleg was not his son. Rurik's son was Igor. Igor was very young at the time. And Oleg, they say he's a relative. He was his near kinsman. Hold on, I'm gonna make sure I ain't messing you all up. Salakia. Right? Right, he gave it to Oleg. Rurik's son was Igor. He was very, very young at the time. Oleg grew him up. When Igor became of age, Igor married some broad named Olga, and his oldest son was Sviatoslav. That's where Sviatoslav comes from, right? Sviatoslav is the one who had the 3 sons that broke up the kingdom damn near, right? Broke up that Kievan Rus. Remember, I told you he had sons and they had a sibling war. It's called, hold on, fratricidal war, right? Like from fraternity. Like fraternity is the male part of the, them gay groups, and the sorority is the female. So that root word frater or fraternal twins or fraternal this is of the siblings. So when you have a war, when the siblings fighting, how they call it sibling rivalry, but on that big scale, it's called a fratricidal war, right? Not civil rivalry anymore because they're so big and powerful, right? Igor's sons, Igor had Sviatoslav. Sviatoslav had several children, but the 3 main ones was one called Yaropolk, Oleg, and Vladimir. Yaropolk controlled Kiev. Oleg controlled somewhere in the middle by Smolensk, and Vladimir controlled Novgorod. Yaropolk killed Oleg. Somebody killed Oleg, but I think it's Yaropolk killed Oleg. He wanted to start to take over more. Vladimir ran north more. That's what I was telling you last week, you remember? He went and got more Vikings, more mercenaries who was skilled at war, just rampaging. And then he came back with those men, killed Yaropolk, took over everything, and that's how he started now to move. He made the alliances with Constantinople. From him, I think he died later. He had another son. Forget the son's name. But as you go on more and more in their history, it's more of the same. Sons fighting, killing each other, taking territory, breaking apart. Taking territory, breaking apart. Now, where does religion come into this thing here? Who remembers?
Because was it Poland right next to them? They were Catholic.
Poland was Catholic because of what? What was the reason Poland was Catholic? Oh, damn.
The neighbor was. I can't remember who.
Okay. Anybody else? Go ahead.
Was it because of the Roman Empire?
Because of the Roman Empire, because of Rome, right? Shalom. Right? They was Catholic because of Rome. Then there was, of course, what you would call the Great Schism, where it started there, where Western Rome separated from Eastern Rome or Constantinople, the Byzantine Empire. The Byzantine Empire kept the Orthodox Christian faith, and that's why you have all those images today in Russia, which was part of the Eastern Empire, of being black with the Russian icon. Somebody grab that book up there for me too, if you don't mind. Somebody who know where it is, grab it carefully. Don't throw anything down. All right. You could pull up that picture with Putin. He's somewhere, I forget. I don't think it's the Kremlin. Somewhere with the black icons on the back of him. Right. That's because from the days of that Great Schism, that's when that eastern part of Europe stayed with the traditional Christian theology, or what they call traditional. It's not the truth. Yeah, it's not the truth. Not just because they have the icons black and Mary black and Christ black mean they have the truth. It's not the truth, but it's the more traditional images, traditional teachings of Christendom. They call them Orthodox Christian. The western side stayed Catholic, and Poland was part of that western side. You get the point? As they continue to fight wars, of course, not Vladimir. I think it's one of his offspring who made the alliance with the Byzantine Empire. Hold on.
I think General could come out.
God damn!
I gave it to him.
All right. And remind me to give you all a form called a yeah, there's a logout form for that shit. I trust you all in here a little bit too much, bro. Shit walking out and I don't know where the hell it is. Yeah. Okay. Go ahead. I told you to give it to him.
You wrapped it up real good and you told me to hand it to him very specific.
No, because I don't rap shit good ever. I don't rap shit good ever. I'm the most horrible gift giver in the world. I'll leave the price on the bitch if you leave it up to me. Now I know you're bullshit. I know you're bullshit. You sure it's not here? Okay.
I remember that.
I wrapped it and give it to him?
Yeah, after he said it, I remember it happening.
That I wrapped it.
Because he was real specific on how he handled the book.
Y'all fucking listen.
That's a lie.
You're lying about this shit here. You're lying on me here because y'all have witnesses. You're planning this shit, huh? Anyway, moving on. I'll put all them books in a trunk next to something else. Go wrap it then. Go ahead. You have the pictures up? All right. So hold on, right? Let me get some more. Who made the alliance with Constantinople?
I believe it was
okay, I think it's Vlad. Okay, no, Vladimir had 3 sons. Byzantine Empire. No, Vlad is the one, right? Vlad came back down, made the alliance with the Emperor Constantinople, married his daughter in exchange for letting Christianity become the main religion in Russia. Right. Meaning Vlad had to give up, what's the nigga name? Odin. Salakia. Odin and Thor and all the Norse gods. He had to give that shit up and let Christianity rule, which he did. And that was a major alliance because now he had more power, more man. He could take further in the east. He could push back the Asians who was making a play through the Khazarian Empire at the time. But at that time, that wasn't the full Asian strength. Those were just scouts in that land. The bigger threat would come later through the Mongolian Empire. One of them Khans. One of Genghis Khan's sons, Odieg or Odineg, look it up. One of Genghis Khan's sons, I believe, is the one who really led the onslaught west. Right? Go ahead.
Kublai Khan.
Maybe one of his sons. Look up Kublai Khan's sons. Well, it's one of them Khans. It begins with O. Ogeneg or Onigeg or
Ogadai.
Ogadai. He's the one that led the main assault west from the Asian side, right? The threat from the Mongolian Empire. And for a good time, that Mongolian Empire was hurting them on that eastern side where all them stands is, right? So after Vladimir had, I think he had 3 more sons as well. They killed each other. Vladimir died. Vladimir was the one who I think broke it up into, hold on. Vlad dies. He has a son called Yaroslav the Wise, right? Yaroslav, knowing the history of his people, he decides to break up the empire for all his sons, and he left his eldest son to rule in Kiev. his eldest son was, what's his name? His eldest son was called the Grand Prince of Kiev, right? Forget his name. I don't think I wrote it down. Anyway, this is just an overcap from where we went last week, or we're moving on from it, right? His son was ruling, but now they set up a system where they would rotate leaders. So there is like governors or mayors in each of them cities all around, but that Grand Prince stayed in Kiev. And as this going on, there's a lot of politics with the religion, because at that time, religion was heavy into ruling a kingdom. So you have different families. I think one is called the Boyakas or the Boyakas. You could look it up. Different families, almost like the Sadducees and Pharisees, who was originally religious families and seized power due to the politics. They started getting power as well and started now spreading their whatever doctrine for their regime in each of them little small cities. And they ended up overthrowing Novgorod through the people, right? Novgorod rejected their prince, which was one of Yaroslav the Wise sons, and that broke the Kievan Rus into not pieces, but it broke its power, because there was like the first insurrection. They said, we want to rule ourselves. We're going to be separate from the Kievan Rus. Sounds familiar, right? And they separated and pushed more north with the Finnish tribes. So more time passed, more people died. At one time, the Rurik dynasty was damn near done. This was like in the 12th or the 13th century, it was done, because this is since 800 AD, Rurik and his line was ruling. But I think at one point in time, there was no more sons, and there was an impersonator who said he was one of his offspring that went further south and made alliances with them in Bulgaria or somewhere around there, and came back into Russia with more men, eventually taking over Kiev, and started moving further north into an untouched area that was good for trade and business called Muscovy. He took over Muscovy, and that became Moscow. Then he moved the capital of that Kievan Empire, or the Rus Empire, from Kiev to Moscow. And all within those times, this is probably over 500-year period, from around 1000 or 1100 to about 1500. They fight in wars and gaining territory and then losing it. Gaining territory and losing it, gaining territory and losing it. So you have all those wars being fought all the way up. Somebody would break off. At one time, one of their relatives broke off and formed another capital right next to Moscow. I forgot the name of it. You might need to look it up. Right after they founded Moscow. It's from the Muscovy region. It was a capital right there next to it. And whoever was in charge of Moscow at the time had to go to Poland and Sweden, I believe, for help. Now, that would be a theme all the way through this history, where whoever is in charge, because that's a landlocked area, you can't sail away and go get help. You had to make alliances with your neighbors. And that's been the history of these Europeans for, centuries for sure, making alliances, political alliances all the way through, and coming and killing everybody out, and then ruling for a time. It's going to be peace. And then somebody going to rise up and want to take the throne again. You found it yet?
Is it not talking about St. Petersburg? It says Storaya or Ladoga.
I don't know. I don't forget half of them names already. Xalaki. So now we all the way up to the early 20th century, 1900s, right? Okay. Russia is in full swing. Meaning that USSR empire is big. Right. It's huge. It divided what you know as Europe into two, which you would have Russia. I ain't even looking at a map right now. You would have that, you see where everywhere is yellow on that map? Because see if you could pull up something similar to that, the old map with USSR that came all the way down to where Turkey is, but not including Turkey, then started going towards the east, taking up all them stands even further east where it's orange, where it's supposed to be what? That's supposed to be what they over China.
China.
The start of China, right? Even further into that territory, it was very, very big, right? A little bit over. Over towards a little bit over. So all that they was controlling, because at them times they had the Khazarian Empire lower down, the Mongolians coming over. They had a big war on the steppes of Georgia, Russia, or confrontation. One of them confrontations never happened. Where when I say they were supposed to have a war, the army came from Moscow, the Mongolians came, they met at one point, and they made a fucking treaty. Because trade was being impacted. They needed to keep trade going. They made a treaty. Mongol and them went past. Mongol and them could have trashed them, but they allowed them to keep their religion, keep their way of life. I think they was to pay some sort of tribute for a time, and that was it. So that whole Russian Empire don't get big and strong and powerful. So right up on, early 1900s, you have that eastern side that has its own culture, its own politics, its own way of life. And then the western side of that would be what? France, England, Spain, Italy, Turkey, as far south as Turkey, Ireland, Scotland, Sweden, Poland. No, Poland was neutral at that time, Slovakia. Poland would have been neutral. It would have been Poland. Poland was part of it, right? Poland, Ukraine, and what's below? Georgia, Russia, right? They were all part of it at that time. Just somebody give me the year when Ukraine fought for their independence. I want to believe it's right close around that time. Right? When was World War II? 1912, 19... No, I think it was before. Somewhere around there, right? Somewhere around like 1902.
Oh, I started 1939.
39. Yeah, what happened in 1912? I think that's when Ukraine asked for independence.
1912 was when Austria-Hungary, Franz Ferdinand was killed. And then that's when Austria-Hungary started fighting. They split and started fighting.
It could be then when Ukraine asked for it. Let's look up Ukraine's independence real quick.
I have the picture of the map with the Ottoman Empire.
That'll look. All right, give me Ukraine's independence.
So, let's say Ukraine officially declared itself an independent country on the 24th of August, 1991.
Okay, before they separated from Russia before. Go ahead.
So I have one here, the Ukrainian War of Independence, 1918.
1918. That's when they had their first war of independence, when they wanted to just fully separate. Right? I believe they got a certain amount of you could say victory right there. Read on. I think they won for a short period of time. Then they went right into World War II. Russia gave them independence for like a year or something, and then came back right after and said, "Come here, nigga. You're back in business with us." Go ahead.
Exactly that. The Ukrainian War of Independence was a series of conflicts involved many adversaries that lasted from 1917 to 1921 and resulted in the establishment and development of a Ukrainian republic, most of which was later absorbed into the Soviet Union as the Ukrainian Soviet Socialist Republic of 1922 to 1991.
Right. So now they pulled them right back in. So now 1991, what happened? Now hold on. World War II, right? After World War II, what happened in Europe?
They split Germany to east and west with the Berlin Wall, and they put sanctions pretty much on Germany and I believe Russia. Like pretty much they were cut off from what you would call pretty much the nations that are known as NATO today. They were cut off, and so I'm trying to remember.
And somebody give me also the origin of NATO. Yeah, give me the original NATO. All these is dates that coincide. Right. All right, go ahead. You were saying, huh?
Oh, so like so after World War II, they split Germany, and then from there, that's when you had the Cold War. from that end of World War II all the way up to the 90s.
Right. So you have after that World War II, you have that Cold War because different regions still held strong political influences. Strong political influences in that region. You still had that Russian bloc still having, it's damn near like a quasi border or pseudo border was formed right in the middle between Eastern Europe, which was the Russian Empire or USSR, and Western Europe, which is England, France, Spain, Italy, Turkey, all that. But right on down that border is where you'll have Ukraine, Poland, Georgia is on the bottom somewhere over here, like. But there's a region there that's always kind of been in the tug of war, right? 1991 is when the Soviet Union got dissolved. 1993, I believe, is the beginning of the European Union, right? And okay, it might be before, but the European Union essentially was founded or made because the European countries was going to war with each other and destroying each other for territory, similar to what was going on in Russia in the history. Right. But they realized that after the war, they broke and have to rebuild everything. So they came together and decided to not go to war with members of the European Union anymore. Right. You understand? Just to preserve themselves. They decided we're not going to go to war like that anymore. This is more so to preserve themselves because war is expensive. And they're killing each other. And the economies is being destroyed. Right. You get the point? They don't want to do it no more. Hey, where we at? So who holding what for me? Go ahead.
That's the origin of NATO.
Let me hear.
The North Atlantic Treaty Organization was created in 1949 by the United States, Canada, and several Western European nations to provide collective security against the Soviet Union.
Right. Now, this was after World War II, right? Right. Once again, they're learning from all these prolonged wars. You had World War I, World War II, not to mention all the wars fighting in that Russian territory. Right. And that Russian territory, a lot of wars were fought there. But they don't teach you about it too much in history. Right? You know why?
So like white supremacy.
Well, it is white supremacy, but then do we learn about the Mongolian Empire and Genghis Khan and who succeeded who and stuff like that? Not really, because that's their family business. Right. That what was going on in Russia, in that Russian land, that's like a family feud that's going on. Right. That's like somebody in Russia learning about, the civil war down here with the North and the South and different, that's kind of like, that's their family business that's going on. This is not two different countries fighting each other. Right. You get the point? All that time, wars is going on too, that destroying their economy, but it's not affecting everybody else because everybody else is Western church. Right. At that time, is the Western church. Today, it's America. Right. You get the point? The Western church at that time, who was running the Western church? Rome. Right. Who is Rome today? America. Get the point? The beast that was once wounded and now lives on through the image of the beast and the power of the beast. America is Rome again today. That's running that whole Western side. Is not just on this side of the pond, this side of the Atlantic. Right. The West also includes England, France, Spain, Italy, Germany. All those are considered Western countries compared to the East. Right. Go ahead.
It's so heavy that you said it because the United States, I believe, is the only country that has a base in damn near every country, other than
just like Rome did. Right. When at that time we're talking about where Rurik was coming down from, Scandinavia and taking over Russia. Rome, all roads lead to Rome. Why? Because Rome had posts everywhere. And they just got too big to maintain eventually and started to collapse. Something similar is happening here too, where America can't go into too much more wars no more. Right. They had to watch where they're going. All that precluded the reasoning behind forming NATO. Right. Because we can't just go in here too much. We had to form these alliances. We had to gang up. We had to look up now. because that Russian Empire, they're fighting, but they're brothers in essence. They all them Vikings from the Scandinavian Empire and just coming all the way down and just taking over. But they're really just brothers. And all throughout from 800 or 900 all the way up till now, that whole Russian region is just some Viking who wants to bring Russia together under one umbrella. And the beef is, who is it going to be? That's really all it's been. It's make Russia great again from Rurik all the way to Putin. That's all they really want. They ain't really care too much about the politics and stuff like that. They want to make that whole European continent or mass or whatever the hell is the term for it, Russian or Viking or whatever you want to call them people. That's really the essence of it all. So now they had NATO, right? NATO is them countries on the, pull up a map with the Western countries of with NATO, or pull up the NATO map. Pull up a NATO map from 93, 94. Pull up a NATO map from 93, 94, and you'll see what I'm talking about. They have Russia in red, and they have those countries in like green or blue or something like that. And they have, America and Canada is part of it, because this is, we alliance, we're going to come together and we're going to defend each other. And this is to resist invasion. This is to resist being invaded by anybody, really Russia. That's who they really want to be, resist invasion from. So now, come on.
Talking about two things. And what you said is so heavy. At one point, when the Roman Empire failed, the Western Roman Empire, they were Western Europe was beefing with Russia because Russia claimed that Moscow now would be the
head,
Rome.
the new Rome.
Right.
In fact, they called Moscow the third Rome.
They called the third Rome.
They called historically Moscow is also known as the third Rome because when whoever was that one who went up and took Muscovy and made it Moscow, whichever one is, I forget what the name of them. They take on these titles like the Grand Patriarch or the Kievan Prince. Right. Whoever went and did that, he pushed that agenda all throughout, and he said, "This is going to be the third Rome. Yep. We taking over." And Rome didn't want to, Rome didn't want to accept that. Is imagine like you go to not imagine shit with recent. It's always somebody who wants power to rule through it. Series and all the names is there. The general theme of it, not the little politics in the shows, but the general theme of this one invading here and this one is absolutely accurate. So now we're coming up to they formed NATO. After the Ukraine was seeking, you had three territories. You had Poland, you have Ukraine, and then you have Georgia down here, which in the old Russian Empire was part of Russia. Right. They want to now move and take that back. Ukraine wants to be part of NATO, but cannot be part of NATO yet. I forget what year where Ukraine becomes a partner to NATO. Look it up for me. I think 2003 or something like that. Ukraine becomes a partner to NATO, right? They're not a member, but they're a partner, meaning, they get them the work after it gets stepped on. They get them, they let them do Uber and stuff like that. They don't get them the big store. They let them do DoorDash or DoorDash. They don't give them the giant. Right. You get the point? They give them a little bit of, just something. And of course, with the, as a member, so if you're a member of any organization, what does that mean? If you're a member of Gold's Gym, what does that mean?
You get the benefits.
You get some of the benefits. You don't get no dividends from Goals.
Right.
You pay. So you got to pay something.
Right.
You could get some of our perks.
Right.
Ukraine became a member of NATO. Russia didn't like that shit. Russia did not like that shit. Russia was that nigga eating the banana in the corner. I don't like that shit. Nope. I don't like that shit. Right? Russia did not like that shit one bit. Now, as time, anybody found the year where? Go ahead.
It says 2020, Ukraine became.
Not 2020. This was before that.
So it's saying Ukraine never was part of NATO. It's like
not a part of NATO. They became a partner. They're not a member.
They say relations between Ukraine and NATO were formally established in 1992 when Ukraine joined the North Atlantic Cooperation Council after regaining its independence, later renamed the Euro-Atlantic Partnership Council.
Right. They became a partner to NATO in what, 93? 92. NATO was formed 91. Right. So now you're seeing how it's starting to align again. At the same time, Russia had something called a Warsaw Pact, and the Warsaw Pact was between. Bring it out. I don't forget any goddamn thing on it. Go ahead.
It was between Warsaw, Poland, the Soviet Union, and 7 other Eastern Bloc socialist republics of Central and Eastern Europe.
Did they say what those 7 blocks were? Go ahead.
Albania, Bulgaria, Czechoslovakia, East Germany, Hungary, Poland, Romania, and the Soviet Union.
Right. Was Georgia part? I think at this time Georgia was either part of Russia or under that pact. Right. That Georgia Russia don't come into play later. So now, but NATO want to go home. Not NATO. Ukraine. Ukraine want to leave the house and go home. Russia ain't having that shit. So now, as time progressed, political tensions start to arise. Then Russia takes a turn as if they want to support Western ways and Western civilization.
Right.
Not with Gorbachev. Who's the one before Putin? Is it Gorbachev?
Yeah.
No, what's his name?
It might be Gorbachev. Who's the one just before Putin?
Boris Yeltsin.
Boris Yeltsin.
Yeah.
Okay. Hold on. Who's the one Reagan brought over here? And he was so amazed at the food in the stores. That was Gorbachev. Okay, it started with Gorbachev.
Right.
And then when Yeltsin came after Gorbachev? Just let me know. To me, it's like Gorbachev went straight to Putin. Y'all forgive me. There's too much of these names, and I try to learn 1,000 years of history that I don't, Go ahead, Burkwash.
Yeah, the leader right before Putin was Boris Yeltsin.
It was Boris Yeltsin. Okay, it started with Gorbachev because he saw how well America was doing while Russia was imploding on itself. Right. Where they had the bread lines, they couldn't feed their populace. Right. It started there. Under Yeltsin, they started to get more Western, started to adopt Western philosophies. Go ahead.
It's like Ronald Reagan, he was in 91, right?
Can't remember. Maybe.
No, that was Clinton.
You'll tell me. I don't know. Shit. You're asking me too much geography right now.
Reagan was out there in the late 80s. Right?
Late 80s. So now, okay. So now Russia's starting to act like they turning towards being more progressive and more democratic. Right. At that time, of course, the NATO alliances had a straight democratic philosophy, culture, and way of life.
Right.
The Eastern was all communist. It was not democrat. They had their own ways, their own religion, everything like that. During that little period, Russia was acting like, okay, we had enough of this shit. We're going to go through with it. Boom, bang, bang, right? So go ahead.
So if I may, sir, what you're saying is so accurate. It was so impactful that Gorbachev came over here and was looking at it. I remember Michael Jackson put it in one of his videos. It was either We Are the World or it was one of those videos that came out around that same time. And he was highlighting how, the Berlin Wall was torn down.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think it was Man in the Mirror. Right. The Berlin Wall was torn down. Gorbachev is now looking to push to make Russia more Western. And it was just like you said, at that time,
it was a height of it was a height of enough of this old ways, coming to the new way of living, and he knew this and he knew that, and they was putting immense pressure, right? Also, Georgia, Russia declared its independence early 1991, right? Go ahead.
So that is a segue to what you were saying. It says Russia joined the North Atlantic Cooperation Council in 1991, and that's
Georgia, Russia, or Russia.
NATO-Russia relations started after the end of the Cold War, and the Soviet Union when Russia joined the North Atlantic Cooperation Council.
So say that last part again, Salaki.
Said NATO-Russia relations started after the end of the Cold War,
right?
And of the Soviet Union when Russia joined the North Atlantic Cooperation Council in 1991.
Right. That Cooperation Council is damn near like it's like we're gonna meet in this middle point here and slowly transfer things over. This is how you could still keep your old Russian ways, keep your vodka, but you gotta drink a little syrup anymore. I mean, you could go skiing and eat some pancake. I'm just making fun of it, but this is gradually taking control of a place. You can't do it swiftly because you'll be met with swift resistance. You have to turn it up gradually. So this is what was happening, right? Go ahead, Amarawadia.
So I got 2008 Bucharest summit that Ukraine will become a member of the alliance with the membership action plan, which they call MAP.
Right, and all that is again. Well, you ain't gonna be NATO, but you're gonna be part of this alliance, and it's politics, it's layers, right? You could get it's just life. How when you really look at it, it's the same thing that happened with us on a street level. It's just they don't give us that dignity because we don't have no power. You get the point? But them is some more gangster shit going on here between Russia and Ukraine, in the whole history of it, right? You look at our oppressors' politics. It's real straight up cutthroat, straight gangsters. That's all they are, right? So now pause right there. Give me Ezekiel 38. All right.
What verse, sir?
You can start at 1.
Ezekiel chapter 38, verse 1. And the word of the Lord came unto me, saying, Son of man, set thy face against God, the land of Magog, the chief prince of Meshech and Tubal.
All right. So who we talking about here? Go ahead.
We're talking about Russia and their alliance.
All right. So Gog is who?
Russia.
And who is Magog?
Magog are the countries that are aligned with Russia, like China.
Not aligned. The wrong word.
The allies.
Not allies. Damn. Go ahead.
They come together as one.
But who is Magog? You tell me that part. Go ahead.
Magog would be all the countries that used to be a part of Russia.
All them countries that was part of that Warsaw Pact, Bosnia, Czechoslovakia, Yugoslavia, Uzbekistan, Kyrgyzstan, all them stands of them suicide bombers who came and bombed the Boston Marathon, them from them countries too. All them areas that was territories under Gog, which was, when you look at Gog would be like that whole Kievan Rus, from Kiev to Smolensk all the way to Moscow and Novgorod, that main area where they was based, and then they spread out from. So Gog is Russia, that Russian empire, that stronghold, and Magog is everything around it that they taken.
Right.
Ukraine, you Magog. Right? You would be part of Gog, but you dumb and stupid. You get the point? Right. All that is all Gog and Magog is family, but that's family business over there. Right? So he's saying, look at Gog and Magog. Read this again.
Ezekiel chapter 38, verse 1. And the word of the Lord came unto me, saying, Son of man, set thy face against God, the land of Magog, the chief prince of Meshech
and Tubal.
Right? Set your face against them. Gog and Magog and his chief princes. Go ahead.
And prophesy against him.
So now this is Russia and his territories. All right. Go ahead.
And say, thus saith the Lord God, behold, I am against thee, O God, the chief prince of Meshach and Tubal. And I will turn thee back and put hooks into thy jaws. And I will bring thee forth, and all thine army, horses and horsemen, all of them clothed with all sorts of armor, even a great company with bucklers and shields, all of them handling swords.
Right. Salaki, I do believe China is part of Magog as well, as you say. Right. That's also part of it. Now, it says, behold, I will turn thee back. I will put hook into thy jaws, and I will bring thee forth. Right. So now we right at the point where it started with Gorbachev, with Yeltsin, and they're starting to get little, West. They're starting to pick up the Western ways and accept the Western politics, and they're trying to bring them in. But of course, NATO and everybody else in charge, mainly America, knows the history of these Vikings. They knows the history of them. Nobody trying to pull them in too quickly. And of course, there's a ton of resistance over there. All the little Magogs now is breaking apart and want their own independence. Ukraine, Georgia, Russia want independence. Everybody want to what? Leave the nest and go be on their own. That's kind of normal. It's a family. Once again, children want to do their own goddamn thing. The Lord said, I'll put hooks in thy mouth. Russia started looking like they was going to become a Democrat and accept the Western ways once again and come under Rome. If they were really in the truth, if they understood, they kept the black icons, but they didn't keep the black truth. They would understand that the Lord was not having that shit. And he put the hooks in the fish mouth and pulled the fish back, like a fish swimming one way. And that hook set in his mouth, and the Lord pulling him back to communism now. Pulling him back to that old Russian way. You go do on your own personal time. It ain't an order. But if you want to, go research Ivan the Terrible, who was from that Rurik, not Rurik. He came in after the Rurik dynasty, but he's from that empire. Ivan was just killed. He was doing what Russia is famous for today. Disappearing people and torturing people into submission. He was famous for that shit. I think he killed one of his own sons. I think he put his heir to death because this heir, he's like, this nigga ain't gonna continue how the hell I want him to. Go die. Yeah, that Ivan the Terrible was putting a hurting on the region, but the region grew under him. It grew very big and expands. I think he was the last major one to make it what it is today. Not today, but at that time when they tore down the Berlin Wall. That USSR is really because of him. Like that Ivan the Terrible, he started moving horribly through that region and was just, if you agree with him, good. If you don't agree with him, everybody disappear. Just like what Russia is famous for today, all them news reporters and advisors who went against Putin and they just disappear from the car when the car is left running somewhere in St. Petersburg Square. But them niggas missing. The car on them, but them niggas gone and nobody ain't talking. That's old, Doc. That ain't nothing new. That's all the shit come for their empire. The Lord turning that shit back there. He's going right back there with it. And that's what this whole conflict is about. So now, bring me up to, I think the first main part of it was Georgia, Russia. I think Georgia, Russia happened before the first Ukraine split. The first Ukraine split happened in what, 2013 or 14?
It was...
Give me Georgia, Russia.
2017.
No, give me Georgia, Russia. Georgia, Russia was somewhere around, I think, 13 or 12 or something like that. It could be after. Quickly, all right? We up on the time. Go ahead, Bukwad.
The Russo-Georgian War was a war between Georgia on one side and Russia and the Russian-backed self-proclaimed republics of South Ossetia and Uzbekistan on the other.
Right. So once again, because they divided, really this is who taking the mark of the beast and who not. That's really what this is when you look at it. From from even with the Roman Empire, with Constantinople, how they split with Poland. Poland took the mark of the beast. The Kievan Rus said, hell no, we're not following Rome. You get the point? Because the image of the beast is Caesar Borgia, while the Russian icons have Christ being black. Just think of it like that. Like, this is really resisting that thing. They want to have their own empire. They ain't righteous. But when you look at it, this is just about who's getting down with the new beast or the new Rome. So that Georgia-Russia region is like the lower southeast is to the right of Turkey. That place was split into two. You had the Russian side and you had the Georgian side. Go ahead, Shapat. Restroom? Yeah, do your thing. Right? Go ahead, Bukwash, real quick.
The war took place in August 2008 following a period of worsening relations between Russia and Georgia. Both formerly constitute republics of the Soviet Union.
Right, both formerly under that USSR, under Ivan the Terrible, under Rurik, under Vlad. They were formerly of that empire, but they're starting to split now. Right, go ahead.
The fighting took place in the strategically important South Caucasus region.
Right.
Regarded as the first European war of the 21st century.
Right, because now they work so hard to make all these alliances to stop this type of shit, but this shit happening. Why? Because the Lord done put the hooks in Russia's mouth, and Russia ain't going out like that. No, we ain't Christian. We ain't going out like that. You get the point? Go ahead.
It goes on to say the Republic of Georgia declared its independence in early '91 as the Soviet Union began to fall apart. Amid this backdrop, fighting between Georgia and separatists left parts of the former South Ossetian Autonomous Oblast under the de facto control of Russian-backed but internationally unrecognized separatists.
Right. So now Russia backed one side, but when they say internationally, they reject it and they know them as separatists. Who's the international they're talking about? The West. Now they're using different terms so that you who trying to, thread the needle through history is going to get lost. But this is not international. Africa don't give a damn about that shit. Whoever else is around. You don't care about it. This is NATO. International is NATO. That's it. So there's like these niggas is separatists. You ever heard that word before? These are separatists. This separate. It's really they again defaming Russia. So they have the backing when they're ready to drop bombs and do whatever they want to do. They defame the character. Keep going.
Following the war, a joint peacekeeping force of Georgian, Russian, and Ossetian troops were stationed in the territory. A similar stalemate developed in the region of Abkhazia, where Abkhaz separatists had waged a war in 92 to 93. Following the election of Vladimir Putin in Russia in 2000 and a pro-Western change of power in Georgia in 2003, relations between Russia and Georgia began to deteriorate, reaching a full diplomatic crisis by April 2008. On August 1st, 2008, the Russian-backed South Ossetian forces started shelling Georgian villages with a sporadic response from Georgian peacekeepers in the area.
Right. So now, okay, just to let you know, okay, so 2001 is when they did what? They joined Russia, Russia declared their independence, right? 1991. 2000 is when Putin got elected, or 2001. Right, so he was a young Rusky at that time. He's a young Rusky with idealistic goals to help his people and shit. But as he's growing, he's observing some shit going on. Now, of course, there's no record of what I'm saying here, but you could tell that's what happened. Because at first, he was not against the shit. And as time went on, similar to what happened with Chavez in Venezuela, at first, Chavez was down with America. Anybody know the history with Chavez in Venezuela? America tried to assassinate the nigga, right? This is recorded history. The CIA went in there to assassinate him, and he found out. And that nigga went up in, I think, United Nations on live TV and said, you could pull the video. He said, today smells of ashes because the devil was here today. And we will never, ever join in. Talking about America. He was talking about Bush. And he called him the devil. And I could still smell the ashes. Talking about Satan come from hell. Right? They tried to kill him. And after that shit, he went the other way. He started making treaties with all the South American countries around the Caribbean countries because of all the oil. And they tried again to assassinate him. They failed. And before he died, or he stepped down, whichever one, he passed it to Maduro. Right? Maduro is the dude who is in charge now, who he was prepping to take his place. Right? And Maduro at first, just like how Putin was not extra, not overt, was observing the situation, and they tried to undermine Maduro again. And then Maduro grew some wings on that shit and pull all the way back from America. And that's when America tried to put in a puppet called Guaido. Right? Guaido is supposed to be a devil. Maduro is son of the soil. They call him he's part of the Bolivarian revolution from that Simon Bolivar. Like, he's of the people for the people. All kind of things going on back and forth there, but it's similar to what happened with Putin and Yeltsin. And then Putin came in, he wasn't doing too much early, but then he's like, this thing ain't gonna work for me and mine. And he said, you know what? We're gonna take this territory back. Damn the West. I'm going to make Russia great again. And drop bombs on Georgia, Russia. I remember it. The world was crying for Georgia, Russia. It was crying for Georgia, Russia. Putin said, I think Putin gave them a chance to come on back, and they sided with America. And Putin said, well, let's see if America will come save you. And he told them tanks go in there and level the place out, and America didn't save them. And now he done took Georgia, Russia back from there. As time went on, more tensions, it get more tense. Ukraine then had their first, speed me up to where Ukraine defected from Russia. More. I think it was 2013 or so. Ukraine pushing now to join NATO. Pushing to join NATO. They want to preserve their independence. They don't want to be part of the Russian Empire no more. They're pushing to join NATO, and Russia is not having it. Right? So, and that's lining up with this prophecy here, Ezekiel 38, where he'll put the hooks in the jaws of Russia, of Gog, and pull him back the other way. Because at one time, Russia looked like it was swimming one way. You get the point? Anybody get Georgia, Russia, not Georgia, Ukraine?
They declared independence after the dissolution of the Soviet Union in 1991.
But something happened with Russia and Ukraine in 2014.
Oh.
Just give me that real quick.
Come on, sir.
I think I found something in the same one you did at the bottom.
Go ahead, let me hear.
Let's say, while many returned to their homes after the war, 20,272 people, most ethnic Georgians, remained displaced as of 2014. In 2021, the European Court of Human Rights ruled that Russia maintained direct control over the Separatist region and was responsible for grave human abuse taking place there.
Right? So after that, you had all these Georgians who did not want to go with Putin, and they didn't have no place to go. They ended up in Ukraine. Right. And of course, what is the International Court? What?
It's called the European Court of Human Rights. Direct control of the separatist region, and it's called the Human Rights Abuses.
Right? They said Russia was guilty of human rights abuses. Once again, we're talking about a European court that allowed France, or the same people allowed France to do to Haiti what it did. You get the point? We're talking about a court system that let France accept reparations from Haiti all the way into the 21st century. I think Haiti just a few years ago finished paying France for all them soldiers they killed in the Haitian Revolution. That's why Haiti was perpetually poor. Get the point? Now they're concerned about human rights abuses because, of course, this is white on white crime. Get the point? It ain't human rights abuses when them soldiers is raping them Afghani women and little boys, blowing their head off. But now this is human rights abuses. Or once again, this is to paint the picture for Russia. So when they're ready to do whatever they want to do, and by no means am I explaining this for you to have sympathy for Russia. Do not have sympathy for Russia. This is for you to understand what's going on. You get the point? Don't have sympathy for none of them. Pray somebody push the button tonight. So you ain't got to wake up tomorrow and worry about more of this shit. You'll just get to fight. Do to them what they do to us. They pray that the Bloods and the Crips kill each other, right? And the GDs and the Vice Lords and everybody just have a big shootout and let the scum of the earth, the criminals, kill each other. I pray Russia and America just kill each other, right? And be rid of the scum of the earth. Go ahead.
It's like all over my worldly Facebook page, people concerned with the war.
Right.
I be like, let America burn, and like they look at me like a cold weirdo.
Listen,
that straight conversations and what I'm talking is way over their head, but I just keep talking around.
Yeah, let them two go fight.
That's right.
Let them go fight, man. Let them, the main event, man, pay-per-view. Let them go fight each other and bomb each other and shoot each other. And so, we can see who's going to win, right? I want to see who's going to win that fight. That's the main event for me. I want to see who's going to win. What's you holding, Bakwash?
I'm holding the Russo-Ukrainian War 2014.
Okay, let me hear you.
The Russo-Ukrainian War is an ongoing war between Russia together with pro-Russian separatist forces and Ukraine. It began in February 2014 following the Ukrainian Revolution of Dignity, and initially focused on the status of Crimea and parts of Donbas, internationally recognized as part of Ukraine. The first 8 years of the conflict included the Russian annexation of Crimea 2014 and the war in Donbas 2014 to present between Ukraine and Russian-backed separatists, as well as naval incidents, cyber warfare, and political tensions.
Now, once again, this is just war that's continuing, right? They don't annex Crimea, so Crimea is part of them. They just build a not an outhouse, like an extension to the back of the house, and that's Crimea. Go ahead.
They have another annex place like this in the Baltics that's on the other side. So it's called Kaliningrad. So it's a space right here. Then it has the Baltics, the Lithuania, Estonia, Latvia, and Russia. But that
little piece right there
is in the Baltic Sea, and it's Russian. It's Russian.
And that Baltic Sea is what, to the northern side?
Right by Finland and Sweden.
But that's their people, though. You see what I'm saying? Like, that's all their people, but everybody want to go join the beast because of how the scriptures say the mystery of Tawada, right up there. That's what he's talking about. The scriptures say in Thessalonians, the mystery of iniquity doth work. Right. And Christ ain't coming back unless they become a falling away. Right. Everybody's deceived by this devil. Like, he deceived the whole world. And all them old Vikings and Norse this and Odin that, them niggas want internet hack. They want 5G, 6G, 10G. They want the vaccine. They want Jordans. Right. You get the point? They want to live what they're seeing on TV. They want Bel Air. They want Fresh Prince. They want every bit of lust that you enjoy, not you, but that the world enjoys in America. They want it. The people want it. Not necessarily leaders, but the people want it. The leaders not going to go against the people because how else they going to eat? You understand? They had to side with the people. Peter ain't having that shit. He ain't having that shit. He in there with his counselors. One of them talking, so he's like, nigga, speak up. Say it with your chest. The nigga up there talking, he says, speak plainly, so and so. My nigga go, yeah, I'm with you. We'll invade. They don't want to invade, nigga. They want hoes. They want sex and the city. You get the point? When Peter ain't having that, he wants to make Russia great again. You get the point? Who are they handling? Go ahead.
In Revelation chapter 28, would this be a good precept for the conclusion of this matter?
Let me hear it.
And I'll start from 7. This is book of Revelation, chapter 20, verse 7. And when the 1000th year are expired, Satan shall be loosed out of his prison. Verse 8. And shall go out to deceive the nations which are in the 4 quarters of the earth, God and Magog, to gather them together to battle, the number of whom is as the sand of the sea.
Read one more time, Salaki.
This
Good, good question. Time for you? No sweat.
This is the book of Revelation, chapter 20, verse 7. And when 1,000 years are expired, Satan shall be loosed out of his prison. Verse 8. And shall go out to deceive the nations which are in the four quarters of the earth, Gog and Magog, to gather them together to battle, the number of whom is as the sand of the sea.
So, one more time.
Come on, sir. This is the book of Revelation, chapter 20, verse 7. And when 1,000 years are expired, Satan shall be loosed out of his prison. Verse 8. And shall go out to deceive the nations which are in the four quarters of the earth, Gog and Magog, to gather them together to battle, the number of whom is as the sand of the sea.
You asking if that's a precept for
Ezekiel 38, with them pulling back Magog?
Not that part. This here is okay. It kind of is, but don't think is the precept for the pullback. This is the precept for when he say he will deceive Gog and Magog for what?
And shall go to deceive the nations which are in the four quarters of the earth, Gog and Magog, to gather them together to battle.
That's the deceit. Why is it a deceit for Gog and Magog and the four corners of the earth? Why is it a deceit for them?
Because they don't want to they don't want to fight.
What verse was it again?
Verse 8, Revelation chapter 20, verse 8.
Why is he deceiving them to fight? Why would you fight?
For rulership.
That's the deceit.
Don't
You understand?
Don't.
They're fighting because they think whoever wins this war is going to rule the earth. That's the deceit. I mean, Putin, you go down there and you start some shit out. You go down there and you start some shit. Make everybody drink vodka. Sounds good. You get the point? Go ahead.
So we got a couple more questions.
No sweat. I'm gonna come to them. All right. All right. So okay, where we at now? With Ukraine. So that whole thing started with them. Not started, but it was ongoing. It's an ongoing thing with them, with the separatists, with the Russian-backed separatists. Meaning, when you go all the way back with Rurik and Oleg and them, that's what they were doing. They would just send men out to conquer and take territory. With that same Ivan the Terrible, he would send a whole crew out, not politicians, not religious leaders, just men with power who just want to go take territory for the Kievan Rus. You understand? From Moscow. So that's all that's going on here. And this is where it is. The reason why NATO is involved and you're hearing all this NATO thing is because NATO is the military of the West. NATO is that Western military. Ukraine wants to break away from that thing. They don't want to turn the other way. You ask them people on the street, this, that, the other. They want the independence, just like a child. Right. It's like your child, your son or your daughter, they don't know why you're so strict. They don't understand why you live this life. They want to live the life of the neighbor. Right. No problem. The neighbor could bury you, though. Right. That's what Putin's saying. Or you want to go over there and be with them? No problem. They'll bury you. Right. Now, you could let them go bury you, or you could live over here. You understand? And that to the world does not sound like, it doesn't sound, democratic and all that kind of good stuff. But America does it every day. It does it every day to everybody else. It did it to the Native Indians. America did it to the tribe of Gad and Reuben. If you don't want to get down, you're going to lay down. Right. You understand? You're going to lay down. That's what's going on with Russia and Ukraine. It's all a precursor to the Third World War. Let me get a little bit more in on Ezekiel. Right, read from 38 and 4. And then we'll get them last few questions, all right?
The book of Ezekiel, chapter 38, verse 4. And I will turn thee back and put hooks into thy jaws, and I will bring thee forth, and all thine army, horses and horsemen, and all of them clothed with all sorts of armor, even a great company with bucklers and shields, all of them handling swords. Verse 5. Persia, Ethiopia, and Libya, with them, all of them with shield and helmet.
All right, who's those?
We got 2 African countries, so-called African countries.
Okay.
And Persia, which would be the Arabic, from the Arabic.
Specific to with Persia.
Ishmael and Ham.
Well, that Persia would be anybody else? Iran. Persia would be Iran. Who is Ethiopia? Would be Kush. That's a Kushite empire. All right. And Libya would be Put, as you were saying, the Hamitic side, right? Like, and that's that northern part of Africa and the eastern part where Ethiopia is. You get the point? Come on.
Libya, that was Gaddafi, correct?
Correct. That was America made sure he died. America made sure he died quick.
Right. So, like, I thought the Kushites, I thought it was like the South Americans today.
Kush?
South Africans.
God damn. lucky, I shit. I was about to say something there. So like me and you tired out. Cause my reaction was a little too slow. So like, say that again.
I'm going to say South Africans.
South Africa is Canaan. Yeah, the Canaanites. Right? Kush is the Ethiopians. Right? Ethiopians would encompass Somalia, Mogadishu, Eritrea, all them people who like to say they're not Somalian. Right. Nigga, you're Somalian. You're ugly. Right. Salakia. Right? And Put is the North Africans, which is Libya, Morocco. Right. Who else is up there with them? Algeria. Yeah. I think that's basically it. Morocco, I say that. That's where you get the Moors from. Tunisia, all that whole area there. You know, that's them. Go ahead.
So Persia was who again?
Iran, Salakia. I'll talk like Judah, not an Arab, but an Iran.
Yeah,
Iran and Iraq, not Iraq, but Iraq. Salakia.
So all the Ethiopians is pretty much all the countries, all the Hamites that shaped like a lollipop.
All the Hamites from that eastern side. Salakia. All right, I ain't saying nothing about that. All right, give me verse 6 real quick.
Verse 6, Gomer and all his bands, the house of Togarmah of the north quarters, and all his bands, and many people with thee.
So he bringing everybody together. Who's Gomer?
I believe that's Turkey, sir.
Gomer, I think, is France. I think Togarmah is that. Right. And all them northern bands, meaning all them other places who didn't want to get down with Russia, on that northern side there, all you all gonna be together with Russia. Right. So all this whole thing is telling you all who's going to join in from that, what's going on there right now. Right. It can happen tomorrow, it can happen tonight, it can happen in 2 years.
So that'll be the same as Togarmah.
Togarmah, I think, is if it's not Turkey, it's those countries on the northern side of France, going up by those countries who don't want to get down with Russia, and that upper Scandinavian, Sweden, Norway, Denmark. I'm gonna find out for sure Togarmah. I have it in my notes, I just can't find it. All right. So that's where you want to. That's where it is. You could read through the whole thing. Come with the questions next time, and we run through it some more. But that's really what's going on with Ukraine and Russia. For everybody who is anti-war and all this nonsense, like you could understand the war in Chirac. You could understand the ops and OTF and this street and that street. You could break that shit down. But your dumb ass is praying for Ukraine. Right. No, nigga, they're beefing just like you. They beefing just like you. You get the point? Don't pray for them. Let them niggas handle the ops, man. Shit. Go ahead.
It's so glorious that it's prophesying here because, as we know, France was with America for so long.
For so long.
That underhanded back business that America did. Now they fit right into the scripture.
Yep. And listen, y'all see the French president recently? Macron. He trying to act like he's what's Ukraine? Zelensky. He go into the parliament without his suit and shit. Yeah, he grew a little stubble. There are little pictures of him like this in the wherever is the capital. Like if he going through stress too, because why? That nigga got something for America. He ain't forgetting how much is $65 million. It's some ridiculous number. Go ahead.
They pulled all the ambassadors out of America.
Who? France? When? Okay, I think that was after the submarine deal, right? Yeah, I think that they did it. They pulled a whole lot of people back. But if they do it recently, then something else gonna happen. Yeah. But that nigga, he ain't forgetting shit, because you remember France just went through that whole economic thing with the drivers, them truck drivers who was wearing the yellow jackets just before COVID. France streets was in a mess because they was going through economic turmoil, which was good for them, but they was going through it. And it was just around the time with Brexit, when Britain was trying to break away from the European Union. France was begging them not to do it. Was begging them because they know Britain could still survive on its own, but France can't. Certain countries can't. They was begging Britain not to do it, and there was rioting in the streets of France like just before the COVID. It was a thing. It started with these truck drivers or these delivery drivers, and they would wear this yellow vest, and they would go through the streets and trash everything, flip cars over, burn shit down. You can look it up and see exactly what was the root cause of it. But all this thing was going on, and Macron making this submarine deal with New Zealand to send them some old-ass submarines that don't work. And Biden say, you got to be quicker than that. No. You got to be quicker than that. And he step in there and make the sale himself. And I forget how much million. Look it up. It's a ridiculous amount of money that Macron was looking for to revitalize the French economy. That's why he was so mad. The whole French government was so mad with Biden. And they say, yo, you acting like you Trump. You doing some stuff that's crazy. That's what you're going to do to us. They was mad. A drug deal going sour, nigga. Shit. Charge that to the game, nigga. Charge that shit to the game. You run off the plug. Oh, you the plug. No. Go ahead.
It's like $66 billion.
Yeah, that's over a period of time, man. So you get $66 billion, that could change the economy up. That could do a whole lot for you. But Biden come in there because, Sleepy Joe, he ain't no fool. And he ain't going to get $66 billion. So why are you raising gas for now? You ain't hurting. You get the point? You ain't hurting. But this is a game of gangsters, so don't be praying for, shit. If you ain't praying for the Bloods and the Crips or the Ops in Chicago or the Vice Lords and the GDs, don't pray for Ukraine.
Right.
They disrespected Putin, and Putin ain't having this shit. That ain't none of your business. You get the point? You should not rush up in here so you could get sealed with the Lord's knowledge in your head. So you ain't got to die when, Christ come back, or Christ coming to kill everything moving.
That's right.
You know what I mean? Let me get some of them questions online and we're done.
Officer Galawan. Salakia, sir, can I get a breakdown on Genesis 38, 7 through 10?
Okay, please.
7 through 10. Let me stop right at 6.
The book of Genesis, chapter 38, verse 7. And Judah's firstborn.
Genesis what? 38?
38.
Or 28?
38, 7 to 10.
Okay.
Book of Genesis, chapter 38, verse 7. And Judah's firstborn, was wicked in the sight of the Lord, and the Lord slew him. And Judah, verse 8, and Judah said unto Onan, go go in unto thy brother's wife and marry her, and raise up
You got a
seed.
question, Muslim?
No, I'm just saying I know.
Okay, no sir, no sir. Go ahead.
Come. And raise up seed to thy brother. Verse 9. And Onan knew that the seed should not be his. And it came to pass when he went in unto his brother's wife, that he spilled it on the ground, lest that he should give seed to his brother. Verse 10. And the thing which he did displeased the Lord, wherefore he slew him also.
All right. So I'm seeing he won this broken down, right? Okay. Okay. All right. So skipping back up to where it started, right?
Come. The book of Genesis, chapter 38, verse 7.
Go ahead.
And Judah's firstborn, was wicked in the sight of the Lord, and the Lord slew him.
All right. So that's self-explanatory, right? This brother, young brother, not young, but not a boy. Just think, man grew, and the Lord was not pleased with how he was living. He was not pleased with him at all, and the Lord put him to death. Right? Go ahead.
Okay. Verse 8. And Judah said unto Onan, go in unto thy brother's wife, and marry her, and raise up seed to thy brother.
Break that part down for me. Go ahead, Kagar.
What this is basically saying, since his brother died, and that's his brother, the wife can take on, the first person she's supposed to go to is her brother. They'll have sex and have a baby, but that baby will be raised unto him, the one that died. It will be his son, basically. If I made it too confusing.
No, you ain't confused. It's just, in general, that's good.
That's Israelite culture. If a man died without having children, and he's married to a woman, to give that woman a child, she would marry his brother, the next brother in line, and that brother would have a give seed to her, so she can raise up a son, and that son would be the husband that died spiritually.
All right. Anybody else? Good. All right, let's get it. First off, it's law, not culture. And you want to say it like law because culture could be something that's, like how you wear your braids. You get the point? Braids is not our law. That's our culture. This here is law, right? You have a brother, he has a wife, he dies before he could give her children. According to the law, it is the duty of his surviving brother, his next in line brother. It's the duty of him to take that wife if she desires. She could not want to be married no more, and that's fine. But if she wants to be taken by the brother, he has to take her. You get the point? That's the duty of a brother. Right? So let's get the law. Deuteronomy 25:5.
If I may too, we all grown, but a lot of Christians use this scripture to try to say that masturbation.
Well, I'm gonna go there. I think that's probably why he asking. I don't know. It could be right there. We'll go right there with the Christians. The same Christians who teaching that Dan from the tribe of Dan is the Antichrist, right? Them same Christians. We're gonna help you all out. Dumbass Christians.
After this, we just got 2 more questions.
That'll work. We got time. We're gonna try to be done by 9:15. All right, let's go.
Okay. This is the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 25, verse 5. If brethren dwell together, and one of them die, and have no child, the wife of the dead shall not marry without unto a stranger. Her husband's brother shall go in unto her, and take her to him to wife, and perform the duty of an husband, brother unto her.
All right. Keep reading.
Come. Verse
right?
6.
So you get that part, right? That this is his duty. Now, she could refuse. She could say, I don't want to marry. You get the point? Because of course, if she can't refuse, this would be what?
If she can't refuse?
If she can't refuse. Like some fool might read this and say, well, it don't say she can't refuse, so come on, sis. If she can't refuse, what is it? Sis, help them out. Help them out. If she can't refuse it, what is it? Something else.
It's law.
No.
I was going to be scared to say it, but it sounds like you're trying to say it sounds like rape.
It's rape.
Yeah.
She has the right to refuse. It's her body. Right? If she can't, a Christian would read this and be like, well, it says she can't refuse, so bust it. Bust it. No, nigga, you can't go rape your brother's wife. She doesn't have to. She could say, listen, I ain't married. I'm going on work for the priest in church like that sister Anna, the Israelite sister in the New Testament. She just stayed unmarried. Her husband died when she was a young girl. She didn't have no children. Right. And she just stayed in the work of the priesthood. She would come and clean the temple, do whatever, the womanly stuff that needs to be done around for the brothers. But she didn't want to marry no more. Sometimes it's like that. Now, a woman, she just, she didn't want to be with nobody else. She don't want to go over the whole thing. That man meant a whole lot to her. You get the point? And that's that. She could refuse it. But if she wants it, a sister might say, I love that brother and I need his lineage coming through me. Meaning I need a child from his stock. You the next in line that's from his stock. That she's in love with him. She wants to look at a baby that looks like her husband. And that's from the brother. You get the point? Also, in Israel, okay, it's a woman who's not been with a man is very prized. We're far removed from that today. But back then, a sister who already had a husband, it's a hard sell to get her off. It's a hard sell. So now she would be without a man to protect her, a man to negotiate for her in the gates, to help provide for her. So she has to be taken care of. So you doing the duty of the brother or the husband in that respect as well. Right? So that's his duty. He don't have a choice in the matter. He didn't want to be in that position. You shouldn't have swam so fast. Should have swam a little slower. Go ahead. Verse 6.
Verse 6. And it shall be that the firstborn which she beareth shall succeed in the name of his brother which is dead. That is that his name be not put out of Israel.
Right. So now this firstborn that she beareth should be the name of his brother. Now, what does that mean? If the firstborn is a girl, you're gonna call the girl, Michael. No, it's talking about the firstborn son. Get the point? This is about sons. Right. This is about sons, right? So this is now so that brother's name doesn't go out. Right. You get the point? It's still from that house, from whoever and Onan's father was, which would be Judah. Meaning he would have had a child with her, and that child would have been the son of Judah. Right. Versus going out and marry somebody else from another tribe or something else. Right. She has the Lord made a provision in there for her to be able to have children within the same family if she wants. Right. And the family duty is to take her in. Right. You get the point? Through the brother. All right. So hold right there. Let's go back to Genesis 38. Right? Read from verse 9.
Verse 9. And Onan knew that the seed should not be his. Mm-hmm. And it came to pass when he went in unto his brother's wife that he spilled it on the ground, lest that he should give seed to his brother.
Mm-hmm. Go ahead. So now what does this mean?
Very unbrotherly.
To put it kindly, right? To put it kindly, he was a pussy. He was a bitch and a bastard, right? He's what we would call a bunch of sticks. There's a word for it that starts with F. The middle of it is G, and it ends with T, and it rhymes with rabbit. And that's what he was. Right? The meaning of the word is a bunch of sticks. And Onan was a bunch of sticks. Right? And that's for any man in his mind who is his sole purpose here for himself was pleasure. And we'll F the girl after that. I done get mine off. To hell with her. That's him. That's the spirit there. Onan say, oh, y'all gonna stick me with this girl? No sweat. I got something for y'all. I'm gonna go in there and tear that thing up. And when it's time to put the seed in her, he pulled out and all the seed went on the floor. He did it on purpose. Not because he wasn't ready to have a child yet. Not he could have said, you know what, kind of like this girl, she's nice. I want to have some more fun with her. I don't want to be, blocked for the next 9 months. You know what I mean? I want to, I'll have some fun with her for a good year or two before. He didn't do it for that purpose. He did it because he know the child would be called and not son of Onan. You get the point? Meaning he hated his brother, which is, again, the word that rhymes with a rabbit and begins with F. Right? That's his spirit there. And read on, verse 10.
Verse 10. And the thing which he did displeased the Lord, wherefore he slew him also.
Right? And he whatever he did here, the Lord hated it. And the Lord killed him. Now, for the brother's question, I'm assuming that's why he's asking. If he's still on, if he could explain why he was asking, or if he just wanted the breakdown. But if it's just for a breakdown purpose, you're going to meet this doctrine of where the Christians say it, the Rastafarians say it. I'm not sure what the Muslims say, but they say that this was the Lord killing him because the Lord hates masturbation. He had sex with a girl. This has nothing to do with masturbation, right? You might be a bachelor or a young virgin, and you ain't have a husband, you don't have a wife. Lights get lonely. Things are going bad. You might need to light some candles and grab the jergens. Go right ahead. Just don't come asking me and tell me nothing about that shit. I don't need to know nothing about that. That's between you and the Lord. Sis, y'all need to do something, handle it. Esau and make a whole market of it, selling all these toys that move. I'll tell you one thing. Now, it ain't unlawful. It's not unlawful, but it is unhealthy. You could check it out if you need to, all right? It's not unlawful, but it is unhealthy because you could form an attachment to that machine to the point where when you're with a man, you're not connected with him anymore. There's no connection there because that bond you would form during that act, you're forming it with that thing, that nasty thing in your top drawer or under your bed or wherever the hell you keep it. The same thing with brothers. This is not a license to go to www.bigbootytalk69.com. This is not a license to do that. This is, you need to get something off because you're going crazy. Go ahead. That doesn't mean go watch porn. It's the same thing with your sister with the toys, right? You go watch that porn. Eventually, brother, you're going to need another man in the room to get, turned on with your woman because you're watching another man in a room with a woman all the time. You're going to turn into Onan. Basically, you're going to turn to that thing that rhymes with rabbit, that begins with F and ends with T. Eventually, you're going to go there. It's unhealthy. Now, if you need to, handle the business, no problem. Go do it. Shut your mouth. Just obey the law. If you're a brother, you're unclean. Sister, I don't think you have a law for none of that nonsense. You're unclean until the evening. But there's no law against masturbation. There's none. Right? You should definitely not be watching no porn. You're watching another man, you're watching another man's nakedness because that's his woman on there he having sex with. And you're watching him naked, which is gay as shit. And sisters, you're watching another woman naked. I don't know what you're fantasizing over. You get the point? So it's unhealthy. It's an unhealthy situation, which is why Paul said in the New Testament, let them marry rather than burn. Because they're going to burn in their lust, meaning because they, horny and they need to get it off, they go grab whatever or whoever or wherever. And from that, you have what? The unhealthy porn addiction, the unhealthy whore addiction, the unhealthy toys addiction, and child molestation coming from all of it. Just, Christians, just shut your mouth. You don't know a goddamn thing.
Right.
Just let these people go marry and stop inventing rules.
Right.
You know what I mean? This is something else. And this is what goes on in the Christian church, where a man is having sex with another man's woman, and you just making sure not to get her pregnant. It's the same thing. It's the same thing. What? Nah, we can't get pregnant because your husband going, oh no, that's what he didn't want to do. Yeah, this has nothing to do with masturbation. Christians is just, asexual creatures. That's what Christianity makes you. Makes you asexual, where you have an aversion to sex. Again, sex is an absolutely healthy thing between a man and a woman. But a Christian puts a certain guilt on it, which is why they have Christ being born without a father is called immaculate conception. Right. Immaculate means clean. Right. So a woman having a baby without a man is clean. It's a clean conception. Right. So what if she does have sex with a man? Is that now dirty? Right. That's Christian, because they are having an aversion to natural sex. Right. Natural, normal sex is dirty to them. But them boys, though, them boys that them priests be having, that's good. That's fair game. Right. That they can come in, it's all in, amen, and go in the back and tear boys all the way up. Boys crying all over the place, tear them all the way up. That's clean for them, though. But you with your woman, that's dirty, because Christ had immaculate conception. It was clean without a rod. Christians is, I try to break it down as plain as I could for you. So, all right. So that's it. And when you read on, this is, hold on. Let me see. Wait. All right. When you read on, this sister here, she went on to be all the way right with how she dealt with the Lord. I think the sister here is Tamar, and she ended up, I think the father had to take her. I think Judah had to take her eventually. She played him into it. She played him into it because he promised her the young son. There was one more son that was young, and he told her she could remain unmarried, and when this young son grows up, he will authorize the young boy to take her. And Judah didn't do it. She was mad, and she got him though. She got him right back. It's a good story to read on, and he had to admit that she was more righteous than him. Right. You get the point? There's all kind of culture up in here with the chain and all kind of shit. Right. This is good. All right. So I hope that answered the brother question. Any more?
Okay.
Please, quickly.
SHALAM. So, also, Officer Gallo wants to say, can I get a dress code for the woman at the Lord's Passover?
Dress code for the woman at the Lord's Passover. This is not the club.
That's right.
This is not the club. That's the first thing. Don't come in here looking like you go into the club. Right. All right. This is not the place. This is not where you come in to show off all the skin you have that you think you have. Right. Because before somebody tell you, just cover that thing up. Right. You want to come in here dressed decently and modestly. This is not to mean you can't be fly. You could have all the gold trimmings and the gold earrings and the braided hair. I should not be seeing that cleavage. See that little top of your chest fat that folds together and forms that little groove? I should not be seeing that. Right. You know what I mean? Some of you sisters have more than others. If that's the case, I should only be seeing your collarbone. Right. I should not be seeing where these folds start. That shit should be covered. For one night, it's not going to kill you to cover that chest up. Right? I shouldn't be seeing all down your back that your husband looks at night. Shouldn't be seeing the light side of your thigh. You know what I mean? It's just sister laugh. Meaning this, there's a part of a woman in her skin and her body that is lighter because it's not exposed to the sun so much. I shouldn't be seeing that part of you. No part like that. You should be having a good long dress. Don't come in there dressed like an Arab though. Don't come in dressed like Jihad Jane, right? And still keep the shit royal. But have some dignity, man. Ask your husband if he's comfortable with you going out like that. That's the first thing. Does this please you? That's the first thing you should do. Are you happy with this? Don't come and try to be tight and show off on other sisters with what you think you have, or try to make other people look at you. Leave all that whole shit outside. That's really a horse forehead. Do not do that shit. I'm trying to help you in the best way I could. Come there looking like something that's important.
Right.
Come there looking like someone that's important, and come there looking like you respect your husband.
That's right.
That's really the end all and be all of it. Or your father.
Right.
Don't come in there and shame your father where now you exposing a whole lot, and somebody had to wonder, well, who raised this girl, or whose daughter is this, or whose wife is this? Don't do that, right? Make sure you're covered up right. Make sure you get that dress tailored or sewn right for you. If it's too tight, go let it get taken out. Get a shawl to cover up something if the dress is too thin. Below your knees, ideally. I know it's going to be hot. It's Florida. But no, nothing above the knee height, because when you sit, it's going to show some, extra leg. Some of you sisters, y'all know y'all got a little bit more meat than others. It's different body types. But this is not, this is not the club. This is not the line in the club where you're going to auction off meat.
Right.
This is not that type of place, and somebody will pull you up on it. And I pray you understand. Somebody will tell you about it Passover night, and you're going to be in your feelings, and you're going to throw a tantrum, and you're going to get thrown out with your tantrum. You're going to get physically removed with your tantrum. Be decent and in order, man. Get your hair braided up, look nice, your makeup, your lipstick, your earrings, your chains, your rings, your sandals with the gold embroidery. All that is good. I should not see your tail. I should not see your cleavage. You get the point? I should not see that. I should not be able to see it. Cover yourself up, man. Cover yourself up. You want to not. I'm not saying anybody is going to do this, but just imagine you come to the Passover and people seeing shit you wouldn't let your husband see because you mad with him. Like, well, what kind of hypocrite would you be? You get the point? You dress there all nice and tight and showing off the cleavage to everybody who come to the Passover. But that husband, you wouldn't give him the tail because he have a few more other tails, on his roster. You know what I mean? You simple. Go in there looking like you're someone to be respected. Right? And forget the whole what you're seeing on TV about what our oppressor says is glorious. That nigga don't know shit. Right? Ask your husband if it's glorious enough. And brothers, if you're not sure, just call your camp leader. Just call your camp leader. If you like, man, I don't know nothing about no dresses. I don't even, I don't know nothing. That's not a problem, man. Ain't no sweat. Just call your camp leader. Say, like, so my rib wanna wear this. Is this okay? Brother, tell her that shit. Tell her that dress makes you ugly. You are much better than the dress. Right. You have to tell her straight up no, because Eve will rebel. But you could, sis hearing this, I don't care. You could help her out. You could be like, you want to wear this? You better than this dress. Nah, this is beneath you. Right. You could help her self-esteem a little bit and help her not come in there looking like, she doesn't belong to anybody. Right. All right. So that's what I would say for the dress code. All right. Okay. Keep it fly though. Keep it fly. Right. And don't come in there with them heathen clothes either. All them Chinese dresses and come in there looking like, you don't come in there looking like that either. Keep that shit Israel, man. Right. All right. Any more?
Matthew Brandon. Salaki, sir. Does the so-called Jewish man think all the 12 tribes of Israel are white and in Israel right now? I ask because Judah is only one tribe.
No, they're changing up the talk as far as I know. They're changing up the talk right now. They're starting to say they're not Jewish anymore. They're starting to say they're the real Jew. They're getting wise on the whole Judah thing. Of course, that stands to the Israelite school of I.S.U.P.K. Busting their damn heads wide open. Now they had to change the talk. At one time, they used to say, I'm from the tribe of Kohen. Right? Kohen is the Yiddish language for Kahan, which means priest. Meaning what they're trying to say is they come from Aaron's lineage. Right? But Aaron is a Levite. That's a tribe. Right? Priest is an occupation, not a tribe. They're so stupid. But at one time, they say, no, I'm from the tribe of Kohen. Yeah, I'm from the Kohen tribe. which is not even a tribe. So nowadays you might find them saying, yes, the 12 tribes, and I'm from Dan, and I'm from this, and I'm from that. But they're the devil at the end of the day. They're not the real Jew, and they're scraping and scrapping right now. What they need to do is forget them Palestinians and go help fight in Russia, because that war is going to suck them in too, right? So that's it. You're going to get different things they're going to say. You're going to get a whole ton of different things they're going to say for it, all right? Also, to Passover coming up, you want to make sure you pay that Passover fund, secure your hotel, your transport, your cars, your flights for everybody who coming in. Also, to you sisters, make pre-order that corsage. I hear they're going very fast. They're almost all the way done, meaning it's a pre-order system. So is only a certain amount is ordered this year. Once that list is filled up, you ain't gonna get none. Try to get in there early as could be. We have just about a month for Passover. Make sure you pre-order them corsages today. Whoever on the computer, you could put this link in the please put this link in the chat. Who could send it to?
You said it, sir. Yeah, one more question, but I wrote it down for next week.
No, sir. I'll take it right now if it's short, if it ain't too long.
You wrote it down?
It's in the DC chat, Kazak. You could pull it. I'll send it to you anyway. All right, what's the question?
So I said he wanted to break down 2 Corinthians 5 and 6 through 8.
2 Corinthians 5 and 6 through 8. Quickly. Let me get it quickly, all right?
He said because his rib asked him that the Christian preacher used it at a funeral, and she wanted understanding of it.
2 Corinthians 5, what?
Chapter 5, verse 6 through 8.
Go ahead.
You sent it to the messenger or email, sir?
I sent it to your text. Salak. Yeah.
This is the book of 2 Corinthians, chapter 5, verse 5. Salak, verse 6. Therefore we are always confident, knowing that whilst we are at home in the body, we are absent from the Lord.
Mm-hmm.
Verse 7. For we walk by faith, not by sight. Verse 8. We are confident, I say, and willing rather to be absent from the body and to be present with the Lord. Verse 9. Wherefore we labor that whether present or absent, we may be accepted of him.
Mm-hmm.
Verse 10. For we must all appear before the judgment seat of Christ, that everyone may receive the things done in his body according to that he had done, whether it be good or bad.
Right. Let's save this. I want to go through this again. I don't think it's what they're talking about. He said he uses for a funeral. When he say absent in body and stuff like that, I don't even think it's talking about that type of thing. All right. I'm going to double check it too. All right, I'm going to want to review this before I go into it. All right. There's definitely a few verses. I don't want to botch it up. We good on that? All right. With that, pass the class over to priest and officer Shapat.
I.S.U.P.K security announcements. We at the I.S.U.P.K out of 1 West 125th Street, Harlem, New York, out of Commander General Yahanna. New rules for brothers and sisters. When a new brother or sister comes into the school, they are off limits for 6 months. They are to be saluted only. They are here to shut themselves of the world, to shed themselves of the world. After 6 months, if a brother or sister has an interest in a particular person, he or she must get permission from the head to speak to a brother or sister. There's another 6 months in which the brother or sister will court each other. After this 6 month period, the brother or sister will get permission from the head to marry. Tithes, which is a commandment. You can find this in the book of Numbers, chapter 18, verse 21, and in the book of Malachi, chapter 3, verse 8 through 10. Means 10th in Hebrew, and it's pronounced I.S.U.P.K. 10% of every penny of any increase the Lord gives you Give to the Treasury Department or teacher. Priest fund. Free will offering for priests. Not mandatory. Whatsoever amount you would like to give. Upcoming holy convocation. The Passover. The 14th day of the first month. Friday, April the 15th, 2022. And the Feast of Unleavened Bread. The 15th day of the first month. Saturday, April the 16th, 2022. You find this in the book of Exodus, chapter 12, verse 1 through 51. The book of Leviticus, chapter 23, verse 4 through 5. The book of 1 Corinthians, chapter 5, verse 7 through 8. And the book of 2 Chronicles, chapter 30, verse 17. Remind Akim and Akwaki to check on social media such as ISUPK.com, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and so on for I.S.U.P.K events and materials. If a brother wants to be a troop in the school, you should start wearing all black, which includes black boots, black shirts, black pants, black headband and scarf. And with that, I say imagine, which means to stand. We'll give a courtesy salute to the teacher. Men of Israel, Imagine Shabbat, Imagine, Barak, Yahweh Hashem, Yahweh Shabbat, Yahweh Matah, Saul, which means to turn. Sister, you may stand. We'll give a courtesy salute to the sister. Men of Israel, Imagine Shabbat, Imagine, Barak, Yahweh Shema, Hashem, Yahweh Shah. Yahweh Matah, class dismissed.